We'll continue the Maimer Bereshit Bara Lekim. The Rebbe said 40 years ago on Motzei Shabbos Bereshit Tavshin Lamed Ches 1977. Once again to note, as we mentioned already previously, that this was the second Maimer since the Rebbe had the heart attack. It's within a few days the Rebbe had the heart attack on the night of Shmini Atzeres. And the Rebbe was then in his room, and immediately the next night, or 2 nights later, Motzei Simchas Torah, the Rebbe said, the Maimer Lahavin Inyan Simchas Torah. And a few days later, on Motzei Shabbos Bereshit, the Rebbe again said from his room on Motzei Shabbos, on the hookup, the Maimer Bereshit Bara Lekim. To recap the concept and the ideas of the Maimer, that the question that was asked in the beginning of the Maimer is actually the question that Rashi asks in the beginning of the Torah, and that Chassidus explains that the Torah, which is there in order to bring godliness into the world, moreover, the whole idea of the Torah is to bring the light even from before Tzimtzum, the godly energy from before Hashem moved that light away, in order to drive down into a world that came through Tzimtzum, which again means that the whole point of the creation is that Hashem wanted a dira b'tachtenim, a dwelling place down here, meaning a place where godliness isn't revealed. However, at that point, as the natural order of things, the godly light was everywhere. So Hashem removed His light, so to speak, in order to create a vacuum. And then in that vacuum He drew down a condensed light, through which, after many series of tzimtzumim, of condensing the light further and further, finally there was a place, a physical world, the world of Asiya down here, not just Asiya, the spiritual world of Asiya, but the physical world of Asiya, which is a place which is complete darkness, where godliness isn't revealed at all. And it's in this place that Hashem wants us to bring down the godly light. How do we manage to do that in a place of darkness? That's why Hashem gave us the Torah. The Torah is connected to the wisdom of Hashem, which is one with Hashem, who's above all that, all those tzimtzumim, and above all the concept of the condensed light. Even more than that, He's in essence, the essence of Hashem, which is above the idea of this vacuum and empty space, because He's really everywhere. And through the Torah we bring it down. And that was Rashi's question, that we should start the Torah with HaChodesh Hazeh. That's what Torah is about. HaChodesh, into the Chodesh, the month, which month shows on the moon, and HaChodesh Ishtoi, which is the idea of Malchus, the godly light that shines within the world. Into this we should bring Hazeh, the light which we can say, Zeh, this is it. We can point with our fingers. Meaning that it's a revealed light, which simply means the light that's above the world, and even deeper means the godly energy which is even above Tzimtzum. That's the whole purpose. And if that's the case, Matam Pasach Bereshit, why does the Torah start with Bereshit, which starts with the creation of the world, a world which is after Tzimtzum, a world which is a dark world where godliness isn't revealed? Why does the Torah, whose purpose is to reveal the light, not just talk, but start off, open up, and begin with such a thing as Bereshit? And the answer that Rashi gave is that Koyach Maisav Higid Li Amoy Losis Lem Nachlas Goyim. The ultimate purpose of creation is not just in order to bring down a higher light, because that's something that was there already before. The ultimate purpose of creation is to make a chiddush, that there should be something new, something original, something that never existed up until now. And what is that something? That there should be a world of Bereshit Bara Lekim, a world of Tzimtzum, a world of darkness. And that when a Jew Lasis Lem Nachlas Goyim, he takes that world of darkness, which seems to be Nachlas Goyim, the inheritance of the nations that don't recognize godliness, And in this world, the Jew reveals godliness. He uses this world and he elevates it, he refines it, he shows its real essence, that Bereshit, Bara, that this world was created by Hashem. As a result, he brings down not only the light from before Tzimtzum, but Atzmos, the essence of Hashem, because this is Hashem's purpose in the creation of the world. And that's the reason why that's where Hashem opened up the Torah, because Hashem is telling us this is what the Torah is all about. Not just a place of light, a place of spiritual energy, because what's the point? That was there before also. But rather the Torah is about Bereshit Bara Likim, about realizing that the darkness itself was created by Hashem. And then when a Jew has that power, and when a Jew realizes this, then he goes with strength, and it's much easier to elevate and refine the world. And as a result, when a Jew realizes, and that's the answer to the question that we said, why do we say B'rtzono Nisan Alahem? With his will he gave it to them. Who cares? The point of it is that he decided now to give it to us. And the explanation is no. The whole point and the whole purpose of the Torah starting with Bereshit is to tell us that B'rtzono Nisan Alahem, that even the Bereshit Bara Likim, even the world of Tzimtzum, even the world which is Nisan Alahem, that Hashem enabled there to be a Nachlas Goyim, an inheritance of nations, a place where there's people that are able to scream Listim Atem, people who are able to deny the connection of Hashem, of the Jewish people to the world, of the Jewish people to the reality of what it's all about. In that place, it's B'rtzono. The reason why that exists is because that was the will of Hashem, that this should exist. Why? In order that B'rtzono Nistala Mehem U'Nisana Lanu, that this world should exist in order. The whole purpose of the Bereshit Bara Likim is so that Nitana Lamehem U'Nisana Lanu, in order that a Jew should refine and elevate the world and be able to use it for godliness. Hence, now a Jew has the power to be able to be involved in a world of darkness, a world that screams Listim Atem, a world where we need hard work, and at times we need to be able to work in a situation of darkness, and that in every step, the nations of the world, and the world in itself, shouts at us, Listim Atem. It's not yours. Shouts at us, you're a robber when you're taking the world. And yet, how do we have the power to be able to do it? Because we realize that in truth, the whole existence of that world that screams that is B'rtzono was with the will of Hashem, in order that that same will should be used to take it and give it and take it from their world and give it to us. And that's also the idea that the Rebbe continues in the Maimer, a very interesting idea of a mashal that's explained in Chassidus. This mashal is brought originally in Sharei Emunah of the Mittler Rebbe, and later on is brought also almost with the same words in Hemshech Tafrei Samach Vav, in the Maimer of Tafrei Samach Vav from the Rebbe Rashab. And over there, Chassidus is explaining the concept of a world where at times a person comes to daven to Hashem, and he finds that he's not able to. He finds that his mind is wandering. He finds he's not able to recognize, and he's not able to connect to that spiritual light. He finds that he's thinking about the physical world. A world which is a world of galus, a world of concealment. Not only a world of concealment, but more than that, a world of galus, which is where godliness is completely hidden. And Chassidus brings a mashal for that. A father that hides his face from his only child. He wants to test out the wisdom of his child and see how wise he is. So what does the father do? He hides, he goes to a hidden place. A makoy mustar v'nelam, as the words of Chassidus. A hidden and concealed place. A place where his son isn't able to find him. And he checks out, now what will the son do? And there's two types of reactions that a son can have. If this son is a foolish son, says Chassidus, then rather what his first reaction is going to be, he'll sit down and start to cry. He'll cry and say, where's my father? I can't see him anymore. And he'll continue to cry until he feels despondent because I can't find my father. Says Chassidus, this child, obviously, this foolish child, the reaction is a foolish one, and it's not even coming out of real love that he feels for his father. Rather, the reason why he's crying is because he feels the lack. He's missing his father, he's missing the excitement and the light that he was used to. So he's thinking about himself, it's not his love for his father. What's the proof? Because if he really loved his father, he would realize that his father loves him as well, and that his father would never leave. The fact that he thinks that his father left him alone is because he doesn't really love him. So why is he crying? He's crying because of the heder, in the words of Chassidus, because of the lack, the emptiness that he's feeling. Not only that, it's not something which really has much effect, because with the time, he's just going to become more despondent and then eventually just make peace with the fact, that's it, my father is gone, I'm going to have to learn to live without it. Then there's another type of reaction that the son can have, which is the Ben Chacham, the wise child. He doesn't cry. He doesn't sit and think about what I'm missing. Rather, he immediately realizes that my father is obviously just hiding, and he's obviously testing me, and therefore what I have to do is recognize that he's here, and continuously search for him. And ceaselessly search for him, and go and continue in all the paths and in all the places that my father would frequent, to go constantly in those places and look for him and search for him. And despite the fact that he's going in a dark place, because he doesn't see the light of his father's countenance, all he sees is the back, in other words, he doesn't see it. But he continuously searches, and he tirelessly searches, and he keeps on searching, because he says that I'm for sure going to find him, because he's obviously here and he's testing me out. And eventually, says Chassidus, when the father sees the wisdom of that child, and he sees how much he really wants him, and how he's not giving up despite the fact that it's so hard, then immediately the father turns his face towards him and he reveals himself. This is the mashal, the analogy that Chassidus brings. There's a famous sikha from the Rebbe where the Rebbe one time was crying, and the Rebbe says, how much can we search? Sunday he searched, Monday he searched, Tuesday he searched. How much can he search already? That's the idea that it's time ready for Mashiach to be revealed. We're searching, we're not stopping to search. But it's interesting that over here the Rebbe also alludes to this analogy. And as he said in the time, this is 40 years ago. And a time which is similar to the time that we're in now. A time when we're searching, despite all the hardship of searching, despite not seeing, and yet we continue to search. And the Rebbe says over here, that when we realize that the whole purpose of the concealment is in order that we should search, uvikashtem misham, that we should search from there, from a place of there where it's not zeh, it's not here, it's not revealed, then immediately Hashem will certainly help us that we should be able to find, because it says uvikashto matzasam, when we search we'll find him. And we'll conquer the world, and we'll make the world into a dwelling place for Hashem, a dwelling place for Hashem in which the nations, the Nachlas Goyim, the nations themselves will all be transformed to serve Hashem all together, that Hashem's kingship will be recognized in the world. And so the Rebbe says now that this is connected with the V'Yaakov Halach L'Darka of Matzei Shabbos Bereshit. That after Shabbos Bereshit, we go into the world. We're involved now in mundane matters. It's no longer like the V'Yaakov Halach L'Darka that was on Matzei Yom Kippur, where we were involved with mitzvahs. And it's not even the V'Yaakov Halach L'Darka of Matzei Simchas Torah, where we still were involved with Bereshit. But now we're going into the regular world. It's V'Yakov halach l'darkei. And nevertheless, there's nothing to be afraid of. And that's why in Motzei Shabbos, and especially in Motzei Shabbos Bereshit, we say now, although in Chassidus, in our Siddur, it doesn't say it, but Chassidus many times explains things, even that doesn't say in our Siddur, because the concept, the idea is there, even if we don't actually say it. And we say on Motzei Shabbos, Al Tira Avdi Yaakov. Hashem says, my servant Yaakov, do not be afraid. Every Motzei Shabbos, the Neshama Yisera leaves us, the extra Neshama leaves us. As Yaakov, we go into the world. Avdi Yaakov. We go to get involved in the mundane world. And Hashem says, don't be afraid, because Hashem Alikav Imay, Hashem is with you. Don't fear going into the world. Don't fear being involved in the physical world. Go with faith. Go with simcha v'tuv levav, with a joy and a good heart of the realization that Hashem is with me and I'm going to manage to elevate the world. And that gives the strength. That gives the strength that every single Jew, wherever he is, whichever time he's in, wherever situation he's in, he knows that Hashem is with him. And even more than that he becomes a partner with Hashem in the creation of the world, meaning that he makes a renewal in the world. He brings a new light. He brings the essence of Hashem into the world. He makes the world into a dwelling place for Hashem. And as a result, we come to the new heavens and the new earth, which will be in the time of Mashiach.